Hey, Jet the 420 Chef, and welcome to another episode of the 420 Gourmet. Today, we're going to make some delicious caramel corn. My favorite snack in the world is caramel corn, and there's nothing better than Caramel Corn. I'm going to teach you how to make it. It's really simple, and we're going to even teach you how to make it a little more special than just the cannabis. But first, we have to start with the popcorn. So it's pretty simple. You want to make sure that you have popcorn on hand and oil. All right, so we're going to put the popcorn in first on the bottom. Okay, then we're going to put some oil in there. You just want to make sure that there's just enough oil to cover the popcorn. But you're going to want to make sure that you've got a pretty high flame on this because popcorn has to get pretty hot to pop. Make sure you have a top, but before we put the top on, we're going to do something a little more special. We're going to take some butter and we're going to put some butter in there and mix it around so that you've got a buttery flavor in there, okay? So as you can see, the popcorn is starting to bubble and sizzle a little bit. It'll be about another 2 minutes before it starts to pop. You want to do this before it pops, otherwise it's going to pop in your face. So take some butter, just stick it right in there. So now you're going to want to make sure that you stir it around. You just stir that butter around so there's butter all throughout. You don't want to put the butter in too soon because then it's going to burn. Alright, so just make sure you've got that buttery flavor. As soon as the butter is done melting, you're going to cover the pot, and then you'll start to hear it pop within about 2 minutes. So you want to make sure that all the butter is melted into the oil, and then as soon as it is, you're going to take your top, you're going to put it on so it can pop and not pop all over your kitchen. See that? It only took literally like 2 minutes for it to start popping. You can hear it. I love that sound, but I really love the smell. Alright, when you start to hear that the pops are starting to kind of slow down, just shut your flame, which is what I just did. Now it's basically just popping. We don't want to burn the bottom. So you want to make sure that you shut the flame while it's finishing popping. You'll have almost no loose kernels at the bottom. You'll have a totally great pop. And voila. Alright, now you just want to take your little spatula here and just like toss it around a little bit. Make sure there's nothing that's stuck on the bottom because again, if you do, it's going to burn. How awesome is that? If you want your caramel corn to taste great, then salt your popcorn first. Use a sea salt. Sea salts are incredible. Celtic sea salt is one of my favorites. It's also really great on popcorn. Just sprinkle that in there. Alright, toss it around again. You can hear they're still popping. Those loose kernels are still popping in there. We're going to let this sit just for a little while so it kind of dries out. Let's see how this is. You can hear it's still popping a little bit. Wow. Just incredible. So before you start, take your popcorn and just scoop it on onto a pan, just like this. Just so you know how much popcorn you're going to be able to have. There you go. So now that we have just as much popcorn as we're going to need for this pan, we're going to take it and bring it over to our bowl here. Just very carefully dump it into the bowl. Try not to make a mess because popcorn's a pain to get out of the stove. And now, let's make our caramel sauce. Alright, so we have here 1 stick of butter, less 2 tablespoons, okay? Because then we're also going to have 2 tablespoons of Canna-Butter. So ultimately, you want the equivalent of 1 stick of butter. We've got a cup of brown sugar. I'm adding a little extra brown sugar that is a very special brown sugar to me. It's a chili smoked brown sugar. We have maple syrup mixed with dark corn syrup. You can use light corn syrup or dark corn syrup. I like the dark corn syrup because it adds more color, it adds a little more body. It's really delicious. And of course, our little secret ingredient to really make caramel corn, believe it or not, is baking soda. All right, so let's get going here. Let's turn up the pot a little bit. All right, put the butter in. So now you're going to want to do 2 tablespoons of Canna-Butter. So what you want to do is go into your Canna-Butter, take it out. A great way to level this off is to just take a knife and go straight across the top. And there you go, that's 1. And let's do 2. Another tablespoon. Alright, we'll let that melt. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add the brown sugar. Alright, so we'll add the sugar to the butter. Our little secret mix in the brown sugar right here. And then we're going to put our corn syrup in here. Corn syrup mixed with maple syrup. Make sure that you have a silicone spatula on hand to do this with. You can use a wooden spoon as well. You may end up sacrificing that wooden spoon because what happens is the caramel actually sticks to the spoon. It's a real pain to get off. You'll have to soak it for a long time in order to clean it. These silicone spatulas are really great because the caramel basically just comes off it. So we're going to bring this to a boil, and when it boils, it'll be a rolling boil. And as soon as we get that rolling boil, we're going to boil it for 5 minutes. And that's basically going to heat it up to just about the candy stage. You can really freestyle some of this as well. Like you notice that I put in that chili whiskey brown sugar. But you know, I think I'm going to put something else in here as well. Let's add a little vanilla bean paste. You can use vanilla extract. I have a friend of mine who uses peppermint extract for the holidays. It makes a really amazing peppermint caramel corn. So you can do a few things here to just make it your own. Alright, now once it's been boiling for 5 minutes, you don't want to touch it. You want to let it boil. At the 5-minute mark, turn it off. Take your baking soda. We're going to use half of a teaspoon of baking soda. So just take that, put it in your box. Take your pot and hold it over the popcorn, and you're going to see why. This is going to foam up. Okay? So here we go. Sprinkle in the baking soda, and here goes the foam. And then just pour it over as it's foaming. Alright. Now just toss it around to coat it evenly. Now, we know that each one of my tablespoons of Canna-Butter that I'm using now is 20 milligrams of THC. So those 20 milligrams times 2 means that you've got 40 milligrams of THC in your caramel corn here. So you're going to want to remember that you've got 40 milligrams of THC in this caramel corn. So if you have 4 friends over, each one of you is going to have 10 milligrams of delicious Canna caramel corn. This already smells so great. Now before we get started to put this on the pan, let's do one thing. Make sure that you either line your pan with parchment paper. You can spray that parchment paper with a cooking spray. I'm just going to go straight to the pan. Adds a little bit of crispiness if you don't use the parchment paper. So we're going to just spray that pan so it doesn't stick, because this is basically candied corn. And the candy is going to stick to the pan. So now you just take this out, pour it onto your pan here. Now spread it out so that it's pretty even. You're going to want to make sure that you've preheated your oven to 200 degrees. And then you're going to put this in the oven for 1 hour. But you're going to have to check it every 15 to 20 minutes and toss it around. Because what you're doing is you're unsticking it, you're basically drying it out, you're caramelizing it. It's getting really nice and crisp. And after an hour, we're going to have a really good time here. Alright, let's put this in the oven. And we're going to check this every 15 to 20 minutes for an hour. It's been about 20 minutes now. Let's go in and let's toss and turn the caramel corn. Just how beautiful that is right there. So you just want to do this. Just toss it around a little bit so that it doesn't all lump together and it gets better coated. It's nice and moist still. So you're going to do this like 2 or 3 more times in the next hour. And after an hour, you're going to take it out. You're going to let it sit and it's going to get nice and crispy. All you got to do. Smells so good. It just lit up. It goes, ah. Let's set it out here. Be very careful, it's very hot. Okay, we're gonna let that sit for about half an hour. They're gonna break it apart. We're gonna put it into bowls and we're gonna serve it to our guests. And we're gonna have a good time at the movies tonight. Okay, so now you have it. Now you know how to make my Canna caramel corn. Until the next episode, this is Jeff the 420 Chef saying peace out and serve responsibly.